afternoon. It's actually 2 o'clock, or we are a few minutes late, running late. But welcome to this GCEF discussion, online discussion, which is part of the GCEF Global Visual Forum. And the theme this afternoon is community resilience and social inclusion through social solidarity economy in the post-COVID-19 era or period. Now, this is important because COVID has impacted all of us all over the world in different ways, but it has impacted the economically poorer communities or low-income families in a more critical way, because among the poor or the low-income, they might not have, they are part of the informal sector, and they might not have stable jobs or daily jobs. And as a result, alternative economic arrangements that look beyond economy but address community resilience, social cohesion, strengthening community solidarity to address not just health, but also economic, social, and other aspects. So this afternoon, we are fortunate to have 5 speakers from 4 different countries, but we are reviewing 5 different community-based projects that focuses on community resilience and social inclusion, because the social inclusion brings the element of vulnerable communities. It could be women, it could be other target groups that are vulnerable, and so they find alternative socio-economic and solidarity support. So I think it's important, as we hear the 5 case studies, to note down what are some of the challenges they are facing, what are some of the lessons we can learn from them, and what are some innovations that emerge. And if you want to post a question, please do it on the chat, and we will take it up at the end of the presentations, as there will be time to hear this. So let us have a good conversation together from 5 speakers from 4 different countries: Cambodia, South Korea, Canada, and Nepal. Now, let me invite the first speaker. He is known as Horn, but more popularly called Tony, and he's Director of Operations from FACE Performing Social Enterprise. It's a Cambodian social enterprise that provides education and social support. And Tony, over to you for your presentation at this time.
So today is my great honor that to be part of the Global Social Economic Forums. And today I would like to say about the pre-COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 era, and how far can move forward with this struggle and challenging. So far is the pioneering and unique artistic self-sustainability for social enterprise model in Cambodia. Nick, please, Martin. And the history of the FAR Pundisel Parks is the mother NGO of FAR, the Cambodian Circus or Cambodia Arts. So FAR Pundisel Park, it means Finest of the Art born in refugee camp side to Cambodia-Thailand border. So described as the person without wall, estimated how 1 million of Cambodians become refugees. Can you move next? So since in 1994 until now, FAR celebrating of the 25 year of FAR Pundisel Park. So Fa Peli Salpak means Prince of the Art. All the performer and musicians in Fa the Cambodian Circus and Fa production were trained at Fa Peli Salpak School in Battambang. In 1986, French art teacher Warren de Crop taught drawing at Sai 2 refugee camp on Thai-Cambodian border. In 1994, the following repatriation Fa Peli Salpak was founded in Battambang by 9 former art workshop students and their teacher. So here is the background of the history of Fa Peli Salpak, that art therapy and culture for human development and rebuilding the country. Art and culture were lost in a series of the civil war in the 20th century. The intellectual and artists were taken and killed. In the 1990s, the following of the peace agreement, more refugees returned home. Among of them, a group of 9 teenagers who received the art therapies, and as the refugees wanted to rebuild their country, they officially founded Fa Peli Salpak Association in 1994 with the French art therapy teacher Warren de Crops. Could you move, Martin? So within 25 years since in 1994 until now, here is the school campus with 3 hectare area, and Fa Peli Salpak celebrating 25 years of human development through art. Fa Peli Salpak is the not-for-profit Cambodian association that work with vulnerable children, young adults, and their families through 3 intervening fields of intervention, vocational art training, social support, and educational program. Every day, Fa Peli Salpak welcome 1,200 students in economic and educational training for free of charge. So here is the figure of our yearly number of the students. There are 12,000 students per economic year, social follow-up and support to 800 families in 3 communes. And in the Fa Peli Salpak, there are 2 big departments that we call visual art school and performing art school. So in that program, they are painting, drawing, contemporary art, graphic design, and animation. Performing art school, we have dance department, music department, theater department, circus department, and education from kindergarten to high school, library, child development laser center, social support, children protection and reintegration program, free lunch in school, school kit, health checkup, consultation. Nick, please. And here is the picture. Here is the circle hall where we have the photo taken of our 150 professional artists in visual, applied, and performing art. 1,200 students every day, mainly from socially disadvantaged background. So you can see here from the picture. This is at our school. Can you go next? And this is Fa model to self-sustainability for social enterprise model inspired by Professor Muhammad Yunus, Nobel Prize laureate. Yeah, you can see that between the school. Yeah, this is where we take the picture in US in 2015. Can you move? So in 2013, Fa Performing Social Enterprise was started to achieve financial sustainability and independence for Fa Peli Salpak. provide professional opportunity for graduates through FAR the Cambodian Circus and FAR Creative Studio of Graphic Design and Animation. So you can see the big under the same umbrella here. Can you move, Martin? And here is the number of the employee and the performer. There are 70 employee and 46 performer. There are 8 show in rotation, nicely performing in Siem Reap International Tour, and show an artist for private performance and events. Yeah. So this is the, in order for us to create, by creating a sustainable model with FAR performing social enterprise, inspired by the principle of social business by Professor Muhammad Yunus, Nobel laureate. FAR performing social enterprise follow an innovative social enterprise model that leverages the professional skill of its own graduate to generate profit that in turn fund of NGO school. There are 3 missions from FAR performing social enterprise here. Create gainful job opportunity for young Cambodian artists, helping them to break cycle of poverty for themselves and family. Financially support the school through social ownership structure. Contributes the revival of Cambodian art and culture post Khmer Rouge. So you can see here. Could you move, Martin? So the next page is the social enterprise model for sustainable social development projects. FAR performing social enterprise financially support FAR Pelu Selpak through loyalty payments, donations solicited in Siem Reap are given to the school, hiring student artists to perform at FAR performing social enterprise as part of their training. Dividends. The school owns nearly 75% of the share of FAR performing social enterprise, a social business charter to keep the company focused on its social objective. All shareholders commit giving dividend going to a social cause on an ongoing basis. Could you move, please? So here is our permanent home in Siem Reap. So pre-COVID-19, FAR the Cambodian Circus own a venue with daily performance and run daily performance to increase to 10 times per week in the high tourism season. FAR Circus performance was suspended 17 March by government decree due to COVID-19 global pandemic. All international arrival to Cambodia ceased shortly after. Tourism has evaporated. Hotel, restaurant, shop, and entertainment venue have closed, some permanently, and lost job. At a time when so many communities have lost their job, FAR Circus continue provide employment and income for 116 staff and artists. Could you move, please? So this is FAR Circus is rising again with a weekend special program. For COVID-19, FAR Circus is rising again with a special program on every Friday and Saturday performance from July 31st onwards. Special pricing for Cambodian $10 and 3 months for $60 for the season pass. Different show. We can start evening with Cambodian street food by some Siem Reap favorite Khmer chef from Cambodian street food. And here is our FAR boutique. So you can move next, please. So adapting to the new normal, we have revamped the whole FAR experiences to meet the new audience taste, expectation, purchasing power, and behavior. It means social distancing, contact tracing, Safety measure SOP put in place, convert the quiet tourism target restaurant, street food, fair for 5 celebrity chef vendors, attract them to participate by not charging them any rent and no revenue share either. The model work well, even far come back with full force. We will keep this format changing a bit for each vendor, resulting in the same or more revenue than working with only one food and beverage partner like before. Special ticket price from $38, $28, and $18 to only $20 and $10, and free or child for children open sitting, which used to be half price. Pre-show entertainment for artists attract locals, spend more than time before the show and buy food drink from the vendor. Decorate site to be selfie opportunity and decoration, play with circle artists, performance by partner Bamboo Stage who perform for free at FAR are part of free show entertainment. Our costume manager put up space to have costume change and make up for photo at FAR. Show must be different for each weekend. Artists create two performance and with the allowing to rotate 4 different shows and each month. Could you move a little bit? So we take with 3 leg strategies to target local Cambodian expat and fundraising, invite a family to the Circle Fund, ground funding, print flyer, Khmer. So we also made pop-up surprise for the performance in the hotel partner VIP guests, and they may help them and when they have the artist on the weekend in Siem Reap. Hope to extract the gap by the ticket to go to FAR Circle. If not, at least they know that FAR is and they are really VVIP. They give gratitude to artists, so it helps artists to earn some income. Plus, it good moral booster in general. Luxury hotel invite artists for breakfast in their restaurant and pop-up performance. So for your information, our boutique sales function will be launched soon as well. FAR Boutique creative design by Cambodian Mind brand Big Sale. So can you move a little bit more? So here is the message from my CEO, Mr. Dara, that he said, brightness of the art keeps shining. FAR Circle is Rising Weekend program and the beacon of hope for all artists, staff in Siem Reap community. We have been severely impacted by sudden disappearance of international tourism. FAR is shining example that inspire dream, positivity, and resilience within us. I hope you will join me to keep the pride of the art signing artists employed, staff community well-being taken care by donating to invite a family to the circus. So that is all from me. You can summarize. For your information, our vehicle tour production is touring in France for 2 months. So you can see the program here in November and December. And they already arrived in France on 21st yesterday. So they will be touring with different 9 cities in France.
Thank you very much, Tony. I definitely remember you and remember our long discussions because what impressed me then and impresses me now in your presentation is really the involvement of young people. It is using culture, the performing arts, and it is in that form strengthening culture, democracy, human rights, but also the element of financial sustainability, employment, training, and so forth. I definitely remember at that meeting when I met you, y'all were one of the brightest new innovations, and it's great to know that you all are still working strong and carrying on. Congratulations, and I'm sure many more people would want to hear your model of how you are mobilizing young people and the local communities through performing arts development of talent, and the culture, and through that, having sustainable alternative economic growth. Now, thank you, and let's move on to the second presentation. Second presentation is by Dr. Kim, who is a researcher of Environmental Planning Institute of Seoul National University. And out of tragedy has emerged this Community Resilience Center at the city of Ansan. Over to you, Dr. Kim, for your presentation.
Okay, I'm going to be presenting in Korean. So I did prepare in English, but of course, Korean is more easier for me to deliver my message. So I am a researcher of Environmental Planning Institute at the Seoul National University. And just until a while ago, I was heading the Community Resilience Center at the city of Ansan. So I was working with social inclusion and solidarity after the Sewol ferry tragedy that struck Ansan. And so I'm going to be focusing on what the victims or the bereaved families of the victims of the Sewol ferry disaster have been doing and how they have been showing resilience, especially in face of the COVID-19. So let me just start off by introducing you this book. This is written by Rebecca Solnit, A Paradise Built in Hell. And so basically, it talks about some of the so-called positive side effects of disasters. Disaster are most basically, tragically and tragic, grievous, and no matter what positive side effects and possibilities they produce, they are not to be desired. But then the book also talks about the light of hope. We are going through a very difficult times right now, but nonetheless, we can find the positive energy, we can find hope and to recover the COVID-19. And so in the post-COVID era, we'll be able to heal our wounds. So anyway, in 2014, on April 16th, Korea was completely in shock because it faced its worst maritime tragedy. People were just stuck in front of the television. People were witnessing the sinking of a ferry. 304 people died. They drowned in sea. And in Ansan City, there were 250 high school students who were on that ferry who died on that tragic day. But amidst all that, what was lucky was that the bereaved families who had lost their children were really encouraged to act. Everyone prayed together and hoped for all the children to be saved, but not all children were able to come back. And so the bereaved families were very, very tired. They were very sad, but there were a lot of social solidarity shown by the citizens. They stood by the bereaved families. So many families stuck together, and based on that kind of encouragement, the bereaved families were able to live day after day. So these were some of the solidarity actions shown by the communities. The bereaved families were supported and very much encouraged to live even though they had lost their children. And these bereaved families now want to give back to the citizens because the citizens had given them so much when they had faced a tragedy. And that's where we see the community resilience activities in play. So there were many mothers of the children who were lost in the tragedy, and they started a handicraft group. So they're the mothers who were good with their hands, and so they started this handicraft group. So it started off with just a few members making some gifts, but then they became better and better. And now they participated in the International Handicraft Fair, and they even showcased their products globally. So they were symbolic products that would remind them of their children. They're the butterflies. Can you see the butterflies? They were made by the mothers. They symbolize the children that they had lost at sea. And based on this experience, the mothers also started to implement training and education for the people who are vulnerable in their community. And then, in face of the COVID-19, the mothers thought about what they could do, how they could contribute to their community. And so, actually, the bereaved families in 2014 had faced this tragedy and was living through the tragedy. And so, they knew what it was like to lose a loved one, and they know what it's like to suffer because they have been suffering since 2014. And so the bereaved families thought that they wanted to contribute to the community, and that's how they came up with these products. And so they came up with a new product development to overcome the COVID-19, and they decided to share this with their citizens. You have the face masks, you have the tumbler bags, spoons, and chopsticks, which are very environmentally friendly and very much organic. And they're the kind of products that would remind people how important it is to maintain safety in a society. And so some of these products were distributed and some products were also sold. And so there was also a volunteer group that was formed. They wanted to contribute to the larger society. So they had actually experienced firsthand how important volunteer work was when they were facing a tragedy. And so they decided that in face of the COVID-19, they would also form this volunteer group. They wanted to become the hope for other citizens. So we spread hope. That's a slogan that they used. And so one of the major examples was making of this poster on the right-hand side. So they would actually become post-delivery service, and they would send posts of flowers and letters.
힘들어하고 있습니다.
So many people are suffering from the pandemic. Stores are closed and people are losing their jobs. However, there are also a lot of people who are supporting each other to overcome the crisis together. Doctors, nurses, emergency aid personnel, and numerous volunteers. So the volunteers prepared flower bouquets and letters and deliver them themselves. It was an expression of gratitude and support so that we can feel a sense of solidarity in overcome the crisis from the pandemic together. And the teenagers are also suffering in the pandemic. So the bereaved families established a program and website called April 16 School. So this program consists of handcraft, theatrical troupe, carpenters, and choir who become teachers for the students. So these activities were conducted with a careful consideration about the pandemic. So they created the masks together and flower bouquets, and the students also learn wood carving and other skills. You know, these bereaved families lost their children, and the only way they can actually gain strength is by working with the teenagers in the city of Ansan. Now the bereaved families are expressing their gratitude to the citizens who showed solidarity with them. And they always say that doing so, they can heal themselves after the great tragedy. It really shows that solidarity and inclusivity in the society is crucial in the face of the pandemic and the crisis. So, what the kind of life we have to live in the crisis? And I believe the bereaved families who always who already experienced a tragedy and crisis, uh, are really showing us the way for the future. So uh, their social participation and solidarity um, is what I wanted to deliver today. Uh, to sum up my message, solidarity is at the heart of the strength we can have in the middle of the pandemic. And we have to remember this in order to create a better society after the pandemic, where we can all heal ourselves together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kim. I think it's a fascinating and amazing story that out of tragedy, out of the difficulties that people have gone through, it's unimaginable to have so many loss of life, and to then formulate a community-based resilience center that builds on solidarity. So while a lot of SSE projects benchmark on economic sustainability and raising of funds, I think this project is showing that it's not just viable community projects, but it's really solidarity, community solidarity in supporting, encouraging, building up one another, sharing the difficulties and suffering. And I think this has a good bearing in the COVID and post-COVID situations, where we are seeing many families, local communities suffering through not just loss of jobs, but a loss of lives. And if we can think of a city like New York that lost, thousands of people, and especially from poor neighborhoods or ethnic minority communities, we can then begin to see a similar need for solidarity and community healing. So thank you very much, Dr. Kim, for this good real life experience from the Korean tragedy. We move on to the third presenter, Mr. Jean from Ontario. This presentation is a video recording because of the time lapse and change, and the video will be played to us. And so let's see this Ontario linguistic minority community case study. Over to the Secretariat to launch this video. Thank you.
Good evening or good morning to all the Global Social Economy Forum attendees. My name is Jean-François Parent. I am a manager and operations manager for Eastern Ontario at the Cooperation Council of Ontario in Ontario, Canada. Today I'll be exploring in about roughly 10 minutes or so the idea of social finance as a tool to enable minority communities to transform their perspective on co-op and social enterprise development, and can be used as a tool to enable a more just society. The title of my presentation is The Social Investment Fund as a Tool for Financial Empowerment for Linguistic Minority Communities. I'll be doing a quick case study of the Francophone community within Ontario. A quick snapshot of our organization, here at CCO, we are a provincial representative organization for the co-op and the social economy sector within the province of Ontario. We focus our area of expertise along 5 axes or pillars, notably in the domain of community economic development, professional services targeted towards co-ops and social enterprises. We also have 3 new domains of expertise in recent years. We've tackled a lot of our efforts toward research and social innovation. Actually, this is the axis that I'm focusing on within CCO, and we tend to grow also in the domains of organizational management and international affairs, thus our presence here at the Global Social Economy Forum. So a quick overview of what we'll be presenting today. I'll just tackle rapidly the question that has been bugging us for the past few years at CCO. I'll do a rapid, quick analysis because time is precious. And I'll talk to you a bit about what we've been working on for the past couple of years. And if you're curious to see in what ways, in what capacity we can help you as a organization, or if you would like to discuss more about research ideas, don't hesitate to send us an email at info@cco.coop. I always like to start my interventions with a positive note. And in that sense, Ferdinand Drucker, a fundamental academic and researcher, has said probably one of the best quotes. Thus, it is really simple but very effective. The best way to predict the future is to create it. And this guides most of our philosophy at CCO. So in the sense of, let's say, social acquisition or the creation of a social finance fund or creating a better tomorrow, if we want those things to be achieved, why not do them ourselves? You'll see that the presentation is both in French and in English. This is due to the fact that our organization is fully bilingual, and thus we must represent both official languages within our activities. So a quick context for you. If 2020 was significant with anything, it is that, especially in Canada, communities are faced with recurring challenges on the socio-economic front. And one of the key motor that we've seen that has reduced in speed is the question of financial autonomy for nonprofits, social enterprises, co-ops, and social value purpose organization. Because of the economic recession, we've seen a degree of slow in that particular niche of the economic activity, and it's been especially rough in minority communities. What you have to understand about the Francophone presence in Canada, especially in various provinces, is the fact that community-based organizations run various programs, and they are a center point, a focal point for the community. And when those organizations are suffering, everyone is suffering as well. Unfortunately, very few specialized financial tools and resources exist to help those SPOs to tackle their daily problems. So tools to scale them up in activities, or tools to enable them to have more decisional power over their finances, unfortunately, is something that is lacking currently in Ontario. Thus, multiple actors such as us, the Morel Bélanger Social Innovation Workshop, the Canadian Community Economic Development Network, the Ontario Cooperative Association, many organizations are trying to tackle those issues up front. Unfortunately, the success degree is considerably variable. Over the last few years, our research has aspect and projects have primarily focused on those specific issues. We've seen on the market new emerging type of funds such as impact investing, or there was the recent announcement a couple of maybe months or a year ago about the social finance fund from at the federal level that is coming up in about a year or so in 2021. And those specific funds have limits. They have guidelines. They're set in a very particular ecosystem and niche. So we've reflected upon the idea of, is this model adapted to take into consideration the needs and the specific ecosystem of Francophone minority linguistic communities? Or is the model actually not fitted to finance fully the capacity of those small businesses that are at the heart of our communities? So we've started to research that specific front. From the get-go, there's complexities to be taken into consideration. We're at the cross line between a economic analysis and a demographic one. So the intricacies of those two specific disciplines are hard to reconcile. On the SPO front, you have to take into consideration the practices and the scaling up method. Are those enterprises, are those specific communities up to a certain level where they're open to a bigger degree of financial autonomy? Are they ready for impact investing or social finance, or do they need some adjustment, some help, some counseling? In many cases, it is the case. It is a pretty large ecosystem in Ontario. We're dealing with about 10,000 social enterprises, and the most recent count for the cooperative sector is around 1,786 different cooperatives incorporated within Ontario. So it's a vast ecosystem with different degrees of preparedness, and one organization is mostly often more than ever up to a different level than, let's say, another one that just started a couple of years ago. So you have varying degrees of preparedness. On the investing fund, you also have practices, and you have also varying degrees of implication within the SPO front. So you have to reconcile the two, and it's not easy. A few essential elements that we've found over the years is economic development agencies can help, especially on concealing those two levels of implication, so they can be the bridge and work as, like us at CCO, is trying to help on that front. The ecosystem comprises a vast amount of different financial products. You have social impact bonds, equity, venture capital on one end, and on the other end, you have more, let's say, imaginative, creative means of doing social finance. One big example is the creation of a social enterprise within a working organization to create extra funding. So you have a various degree, and in Ontario, we are lucky enough to have examples on all those fronts, but within the Francophone community specifically, because we're a population of just under 1 million, there's many lacking tools yet to be developed. So the steps to go to that end in order to help the Francophone community thrive, specifically the Francophone community dedicated to the social finance front. There's multiple levels of difficulty, especially since the social finance sector is heavily dependent upon the Anglophone community. You have to reconcile two groups of the population who historically had tensions, and this is coming slowly but gradually. If we have any recommendations that we can tell to the sector as a whole, is government implication is key, and we have to grow those envelopes in the near future. There's also bridge organization that can help upon that front, and economic development agency at the regional or provincial level can be the missing key in the equation. So overall, I hope you enjoyed this short presentation. I only had 10 to 12 minutes to present, unfortunately. I wish I had an hour to explain you the entire portrait of this is after all, a complex questions, but I'm going to leave you on a few notes of interesting works that have been created in Ontario and Canada as a whole. You see the list of reference here on the screen. I highly invite you to consult those specific resources. And if you would like to reach us at CCO, just email us or call us. We are always here to listen to you. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are in the world right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that comprehensive presentation, and I think something that is really illustrative of the Social Investment Fund. And I think it's really interesting to see that in Ontario alone, you have over 10,000 social enterprises and 1,786 cooperatives. And this avenue for investing and enabling economic borrowing in a just and fair way is, I think, very significant for the development of the social solidarity sector, and I think it's a very good example looking at how linguistic minority group, which are the French speaking there, have been able to use self-mobilization of resources and funds in a solidarity way to make a significant impact. We'll move on to the fourth case study, and this time we are back into a Korean example, and we have Jo Jin Park, the project manager of the social economy project, to highlight and illustrate to us another example from the ground. So over to you, Ms. Park.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for inviting me to GSEP 2020. And I'm Yejin Bak, in charge of research and project managing in Daegu Social Economy Center. And I hope this presentation helps hidden heroes of social solidarity economy all around the world to be brave and positive in these difficult days. So the title of my presentation is Into the Unknown, COVID-19 and Collaborative Responses of Daegu Social Solidarity Economy. Uh, can you change my presentation to next one? Thank you. So this is the context, and my presentation will be divided for 3 sectors. So first one is facing COVID-19, and second one is into COVID-19, and the final one is with COVID-19. So maybe you already heard about the Daegu situation, but there are other people who didn't hear about this. So I'll explain about this situation. So coronavirus is attacking everywhere in the world since last January so far. So since the outbreak in China, it makes all countries pandemic. So did South Korea too. So in South Korea, the very beginning of the spreading of coronavirus last January and early February, South Korea has been a safe country because of low number of confirmed cases and 0 cases of community-acquired infection at the first time. However, the situation dramatically changed after the first coronavirus positive case was reported in Daegu metropolitan city. In just 8 days, the number of the confirmed case rose explosively from 1 to 977. So it was really extreme. The confirmed case is in Daegu City. The epicenter of the outbreak accounted for about 70% of all national cases. So on the screen, you can see the some graph on the left side, and on the right side, there's a picture about the situation. So on the figure 1, the light purple line is showing the number of total confirmed cases, and it reached to 6,848 in 28th of April. So without the lockdown of the city or border closing, the Daegu citizens make their own efforts to keep social distancing and comply the government guidelines and maintain their works. And then again, dramatically, you can see the figure number 1, the number of the confirmed cases has flattened to just one month. So let's move on to the next page. However, COVID-19 made it impossible to restore normal economic activity in the region, and even the social economy also faced serious business difficulties. Accordingly, the Daegu City Social Economy Support Center, the status damage can be identified. The decline in sales of all companies was expected to be 59.5% on average compared to February 2018 and 2019, and 77.6% if the damage persists until the March. So in particular, it was serious in the fields of education services and culture and arts, of course, and in social economy enterprises with a lot of employment of vulnerable groups. And there have also been problems with the working environment of workers because most of them are vulnerable to the infection, and such as the disabled and the middle and old. In addition, many companies were unable to adjust their workforce because there were employees who had to maintain employment because they absolutely needed income. Sorry for the siren. So, as can be seen on the table 1, so you can see below the table, right? So 6 of the respondents together generated while surely no sales, considering that the number of social economy companies, which decreased by more than 50%, and were 40 out of the 25 populations, and it could be inferred that many social economy and companies were in serious economic difficulties. Even in the face of the financial difficulties, only 2 of the 25 social economy companies had employment adjustment. So that was really great case for our local area. And regarding organizational operation, alternatives were sought to maintain employment according to the business condition of the company, such as shortening of business hours or working from home, or shortening of working hours and paid leave and unpaid leave. So this is the model that our researchers just researched. So you can see the figure number 3, right? So the social enterprise had a calling. So this term is usually used in the business area, and calling which makes sunshine to people in danger and poor environmental situation against COVID-19. Social entrepreneurs felt that in crisis situation, they should help each other, and to reach out to places in need of help is a natural responsibility. In particular, the coronavirus responses measures promoted by the quarantine authorities and revealed their role in a situation where social services were inevitably suspended. So our research group members observed and also interviewed social enterprise entrepreneurs, and their decision-making process was observed like below the table. So first, there are 3 stages, and the first one was informal voluntary activity by each people, and then second one is online-based discussion. So first one is gather idea between workers in that enterprises, and second one is share information local community they are involved. So lastly, the thing that I did was decision making, what they can do and that what they can do. So the first one is plan and share what we have and do what we can do and involve together with local community. So these 3 steps were just observed by each social enterprises in that group. So you can see some pictures over there. So figure number 4 is showing you the social network based idea meeting. So when the coronavirus was attacking in Daegu City, so the social network was really big chances to be gathering in each enterprises workers, and also all the solidarities or the organizations between the project. So it helps a lot. And also social network-based project participation was spread it out through the Facebook or the Instagram, and the kind of SNS program was really helpful to get together people. And then they just they can do. So you can see the green lined words. And so disaster target the hearts of the vulnerable. So this is just spoken by one of the great guy, I mean the great entrepreneurs in Daegu, South Korea. So his name is Kyun Cho, and he's the representative of Daewoo Corporation. And the left side of the number of the figure 6, you can see the some situation, the main city area, and which is called Panultang, and the guy on wearing the yellow vest, I don't know the yellow. His name is Kyun Cho, and he just shared the food and shared some masks they just bought it by themselves. And the right side of the picture, and you can see some children, I don't know, the children from the middle school, and the students are making masks for illegal immigrants who cannot buy the KF94 masks. So at that time, we cannot, the people, all the people from the nationally, we could not buy the masks without any legal the ID card. So at that time, the people from the immigrants who are living in Korea illegally, they cannot buy any kind of mask. So children just started to make themselves the masks, and they just share the masks to them freely. So this is the picture of the response of Daegu's social solidarity economy for community recovery. So I said they can do. So first one that they can do was voluntary donation. So they gathered about 60 million. I don't know. I hope interpreters can help me. So $69,000 in US dollar. So they gathered together and they just donated this each local based some church or some schools and some organization they need help, and that also they can do. So they shared their products or services for free. Also, they ship and deliver some food and some stuffs, like including masks or some kind of clothes. When they need, and they ship and deliver to organizations. And also, they did voluntary works. So just people just gathered. So cooperative-based voluntary works just proceed among social solidarity organizations. So they didn't have any kind of aim, just they gather. Okay, so but we also have the unexpected gifts from COVID-19. So first one is strong solidarity of social economy. So it links separately each organization as one representative of social solidarity in Daegu. And also, finally, we recently launched a new organization which is called Daegu Social Economy Valley Solidarity. So you can see how it was going on. And also, there were the role of social solidarity economy in the region and the community. So we can say that restoring what we should do and overcoming the limitation. So you can see some pictures over the below, and it can be said establishing a regular network between the vulnerable and the social solidarity economy. So people just they can do, and even without the audience, the actors and the artists they did their performances and they shared it through the internet. So this is the model we just made, and our researchers were making about how we can be establishing a regular network between the vulnerable and social solidarity economy. So regular means really a lot because without this COVID-19, so we didn't think about how we can gather together, and there should be some kind of reason why we need to gather. But after this crisis, we think that establishing a regular network is really important. So this is the model that we can think that we can make it as a regular model. So there are the Daegu metropolitan city, and also there are social solidarity economy, which is gathered, which is separated by 8 different regions in Daegu. So they respond by they respond to some needs or some problem from the all area. So every time they face some problem or some crisis after this COVID-19, I think Daegu can solve the problem again. And yes, that's our model, and I hope this can be okay. So yeah, the time is out, and thank you. The end.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Park. Interaction in a very dynamic way in the local community. And I think it's quite a significant model to see how COVID has facilitated this in the community and to see how the community has been able to come together and address this thing. And it could be similar in other places, but network of vulnerable as well as SSE is quite significant. Thank you very much. We'll go to our final presenter because time is also passing on. Our final presenter is Mr. Navaraj, who is from Nepal, and his project is among women in the community, largely single women or women affected through civil war tragedy. But I think he is the Conflict Victim and Single Women Development Center. So over to you, Mr. Navaraj.
Yeah, good afternoon and namaste from Nepal. Just I would like to thank to GSF for giving this opportunity to CVSWDC. Just I would like to present this paper on behalf of Conflict Victim and Single Women Development Center CVSWDC that developed the concept note and proposal for the project about the sanitary pad production, a source of single woman livelihood in Bedkot Municipality, Kanchanpur District, Nepal. Yeah, first of all, let me introduce about the CVSWDC, which is a local organization located in the Kanchanpur district of Nepal that was established in July 2008 by a group of single women who lost their husband during a decade of civic war between state and then rebel party Maoist from 1996 to 2006. That time Nepal was facing the problem of civic war, and that time many thousands of people were killed, and a single woman who lost their husband, they formed this organization CVSWDC. Now the CVSWDC has a total of 905 single women as a member, and since the establishment of the CVSWDC, it has been working in social, economic, and political right of single women. We can see the picture here that some CVSWDC member, single women who are involving in the making of the candle and making of the flower, and they sales in the market for their livelihood. And it has also conducted the several mainly a livelihood of single women with income generating program through the support of local government and other NGO and INGO. And the most important part of this thing that the CVSWDC has also established a cooperative, and now they are also operating with saving and credit activities. And now this proposal and project was designed for the target group of this project with a single woman located in the Bedkot municipality of Kanchanpur. We can see that the Kanchanpur district lies far western part of Nepal, and Nepal lies between India and China. And the districts where Bedkot municipality lies in the Kanchanpur, it is nearby the border of India. We can see here that we have the open border system, and there is also the problem of social due to the open border system. People are migrating from each country to another country, and particularly the women are forced to go to India, and they are sold in different major city and involved in the prostitution. And this is one of the problems. Just we want to stop these things by staying the single woman in the country, by involving in the livelihood activity. Following the COVID-19, just we are also facing the problem, and this type of the impact also affected in the Kanchanpur districts. However, we have not such report of report of the people who are affected from the COVID-19, particularly to the single women. But recently, Ministry of Women, Children, and Senior Citizen, Government of Nepal published a report, and that report reveals that the single women's unpaid care workload has increased as a result of travel ban imposed by the government to contain the spread of the COVID-19, as all the family members are staying back at home, and more so with the return of migrant family members. Schools are remain closed, and domestic workers have to now work between 18 to 20 hours each day instead of usual 6 to 10 hours. And due to these reasons, the number of women are not engaged in paid work has increased by 337, and they are doing unpaid works now and involving at the domestic works. The pandemic is likely to make worse food insecurity among the already vulnerable groups, such as landless women, women-headed households with no saving, returning women, migrant workers, and single women owing to loss of income. And 33% of women have lost their jobs. Those hardest hit are women daily wage workers, women working in the entertainment sector, brick cleans, or others who operated their own business. And increased stigma and discrimination linked to caste, ethnicity, and gender. And there is also serious threat to single women economic empowerment and livelihood, especially in the informal sector. And we have also some problem, and just we have also analyzed and the target group of single women, particularly in the Kanchanpur and Bedkot municipality. And a survey report of CBSWDC that shows that the about 40% single women are doing labor work in agriculture and riverside. 30% are cleaning utensils in local hotels and other households, and some women are living their own house with small business. Most of the single women are illiterate and unaware of public health, and there is also decreasing income source of single women, and being worse their situation after their husband death in civic war. And some children has already dropped their school and compelled to labor work in hotel, transportation service, and agriculture works. While mother goes for work, and children are expected to fall in smoking and drugs using. This is the problem. Thus, CBSW WSC has published a report, and it showed that there is some problems, and the single woman's condition are going to worse. And another, just the important part, there is also the traditional and conservative religious activities, and that is called in local language Chaupadi Pratha. Chaupadi Pratha in Kanchanpur, where traditionally girls and women are kept in small shed outside the home for 4 to 7 days during the menstruation period. Every month of this period, school girls are facing multiple discriminatory practices, and they are also unwilling to go to school during the period of this menstruation. And this issue has been taken as a serious case of women health that need to be addressed for socio-economic development perspective. You can see the picture there that the CBS WDC members, uh, they are uh, they are actively doing the demolition of such kind of the set, which is against the traditional, against the practices, and traditional Chaupadi Pratha is prevailing in the Kanchanpur districts. And we want to address this conservative superstition malpractices. And now you can see here that the some shade is made by the small shed, and they are demolishing and creating the awareness program against such traditional malpractices in Kanchanpur districts. Now this project is also designed to address these issues and to improve the livelihood of single women, and to force and to facilitate the school girls who are to go to the schools regularly. And considering all these problems, we have set the goal for this project to contribute quality defined and self-sustained life of single women by improving their economic and social status through the process of empowerment. We have the two key areas for this project. One is the skill development training for the sanitary pad production. Another is the strengthening of existing cooperative through the leadership and cooperative management training to the key person of cooperative who are sole single women. This is also known as a first cooperative led by the single woman, and the outcomes are expected. One is increased yearly income of 20 single women by effective use of available financial and technical support and involving in income generation business. Another is related with the cooperative, that also that outcome is expected increased unity among of single women with institutional development of existing cooperative for economic development. and the activities and project implementation modality are considered for the sustainability of the project. Now, the district chapter of FNCCI means federal, commercial institutions that will be requested to provide the training of at least 20 single women for sanitary pad production. And recently, CBSWDC has also requested to the provincial level government hospital, and they have also ensured them to support for this process of training. And the MOU will be signed between the CBSWDC and Bedford municipality. The municipality will support for providing required materials of sanitary pad making at home, like cotton, cloth, double-sided tape, paper canvas, soft plastic sheet, trimmer, and the municipality will monitor the project activities and be made to pay Nepalese currency 50 rupees. That means the 0.43 US dollar, which will motivate the single woman to produce more. These produced goods will be distributed by the municipality to different schools for free distribution to female students for their regular attendance. And another activity is providing training to key member of existing cooperative of CBSWDC, where 60% member are involving with limited amount. It will be institutionalized to be managed by single women themselves, following the training on leadership and cooperative management. All single women will be brought under this cooperative for the long run for their economic development, which will ensure their livelihood issues. This is the activities and implementation modality of this proposed project. We have already submitted in the GSEF, and now I'm going to thanks for all that. I would like to inform you that now we are in the festive mood and we are celebrating our greatest festivals. And now I would like to wish you all the best for staying safe and healthy on this occasion. Thank you and namaste.
No, namaste, Mr. Navaraj. Thank you so much for your comprehensive presentation and the impact on women and women-headed households and how this solidarity project is able to make an impact in that way. Can I request the Secretariat, Martin, to clear the PowerPoint so that we can see the participants for a conversation together? Thank you so much, Mr. Nawa. Lauren, are you in still?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you want to make a comment or a question to start the interaction from, because you are someone I know, so I'm brave enough to call you.
Thank you, Denison. In fact, I found this very interesting, especially this section, because I think that we were saying very open that in the time of crisis, actually that the value of social solidarity economy is much more recognized, especially I think through the really the sharing and contribution of the social solidarity economy that shows the identity of social solidarity economy, especially in terms of their values which are put into action, and also all the activities which show that how they are operating based on value-oriented and principled organizations. And I think this section is exactly the illustration of this. And that's how it is very important, actually, that especially because in those time of crisis that citizens, communities recognize why social solidarity economy is so important, as well as the decision makers. That's why I think increasingly, actually, public policymakers, as well as the governments, are really focusing about the role and potential of the social solidarity economy. But for me, more importantly, that victims and the communities who are really affected by those crises are really revaluing and recognizing how much the social solidarity economy is important for all of us, but also for the community, especially not only in terms of resilience, but in terms of to respond to a very concrete need including of also of our, like healing and our changing of perspective under crisis. So thanks a lot to all speakers. It's really, I think that this section is showing the central message of our forum. So
Thank
I
you.
really try to congratulate to all the speakers.
Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. I think you have highlighted an important point that at moments of crisis, tragedy, disaster, including like COVID, it forces people to come together to find community solutions, and they are looking at multi-stakeholder with local government, with the people, with local communities in the rebuilding process. I think there is one question that I can take up. How can we make sure social inclusion perspective efforts to recover and become resilient? I think there are one or two points there. Second is to share thoughts and ideas of how to transform the present and build a better future. And I think third, keywords the speakers use as a takeaway. Okay. Maybe if each speaker can take a minute to highlight how their projects are helping to enhance inclusion and one point of takeaway. So if we can start with Navaraj first, we go from the bottom up. Navaraj. Navaraj, are you there?
Sorry. Yeah, just thank you, Professor Denison, once again. And just you raised the question about the inclusion and for the projects. I think that in the CBS WDC, it's itself one of the inclusive platform of Nepal. Like the social single woman means there are different type of the ethnic and caste are involving in this organization, and they are considered as the marginalized group where the social and economic backward they are, and I think that they are also doing works, but their condition is very vulnerable and socially and economically they are disregarded, and so this project is considered for their livelihood through the process of one is sanitary pad production. I mean that it will support to them to for the income generation activities with the support of local government. And another is they have also already formed the cooperative. And this cooperative, I already mentioned that it is a single one of the first cooperative in Kanchanpur districts led by the single woman. And they want to expand this cooperative by institutionalization to be aligned in the national level. So this project, I think that support to institutionalize the cooperative and to expand all over the 905, because I already mentioned there that 60% women are involving there. We want to involve the 100% women who are marginalized groups and they are socially and economic backward community.
Thank you, Mr. Nava. So you are saying your platform is an inclusive to ethnic, caste, backward, economic communities, including largely women-based yes. in your society. Very good. John, Jin, Ms. Park?
Yes.
On the theme of inclusion, how is your community project enhancing community as a whole?
Actually, for all the people for the Korean, so we have the same situation and crisis in this time. So we have exactly the same difficulties from against the coronavirus. So every organization, even the people from the organization, so it is not easy actually, right? So it is not easy to care even in the same situation. So I think for this time, I think our organizations and our people, they just learned again the people is really important, and also carrying each other is really important. So that makes people and organization more think together. So that kind of power of gathering is making more enhancing this community, and also it makes us more easily and rapid recovery for this community again. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. I see another question, so I would move to another question rather than use the same. Here is saying, some say COVID-19 is a crisis. However, some people think that in this pandemic gives us a chance to rethink our current model of development. Do you think that COVID-19 crisis consolidates our community and gives SSC a chance to grow? Can we rethink the model of development? Can I ask Dr. Kim and Tony to respond to this? I don't think Jean from Ontario was on a video. Dr. Kim, can you respond to that? Model of development, and do you think COVID
네,
crisis provides that?
아까 질문하고 좀 연결을 시켜서
So let me connect it with the previous question and try to answer this question. So when it comes to SSC and social inclusivity and the challenges of the COVID-19,
당사자들을 우리는 대상화시켜서
we tend to sort of objectify the agents who face these difficulties. But as you know, the COVID-19 victimizes everybody. Everyone's a victim. It's not about objectifying a certain group of people. They're not the only victims. We're all victims. So if that is the case, and if we think about disaster-related resilience, the victims also become the agents, and they become the players and the main agents of the movements and their activities, and the message then spreads. So that's the important thing there. But in that sense, the several bereaved families are those agents. They're not just people who are very passive, they're sad all the time, they can't do anything, they have to be supported. No, that's not the case. The bereaved families have become agents of their own activities. They have and hold the initiative to help other people who are in need. So I think that's important. I think that's really important, making these so-called victims as agents. In a post-COVID-19, I think our society also has to go in that direction as a whole. So it's not certain groups who are just vulnerable. It's not certain groups who are victims. Everyone has to become protagonists or agents. We have to look after each other and forge solidarity among each other. So I think that's a challenge and direction going forward post COVID-19.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kim. I think our time is up, but I'll give Tony a minute to respond. How would you do things different in the COVID context through performing arts? And then we will close the session. Tony?
Thank you, Professor Denson, for opening the floor to me. So our objective of running our social enterprise during this COVID-19 era, our objective is to keep brand relevant, refresh the heart and mind of everyone in Siem Reap and the tourism stakeholder, not out of sight, out of mind. So they still remember, they still keep far in their minds, and contribute the revival of Siem Reap as the tourist destination, position far as the must-do experience to target different market segments from domestic and expat as a Cambodian tourism. So we give hope to Siem Reap tourism stakeholder and Siem Reap art community to stay stronger during this COVID-19. And we also see the change that we are ready for other business model, like we needed to expand in Phnom Penh since 1 year ago, that before we purchased the new land right behind our current venue over $1 million here also, but some part of that fund is from loan from the bank. So this is what the new lesson learned during post COVID-19 that we are adapting to the new normal. So this is my summary for the social enterprise from FAR.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I saw the note that our time is up. I think we have heard 5 very good case studies on community resilience and social inclusion. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Dr. Kim. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Ms. Park. And thank you, Mr. Navaraj, for your input. And I think we learn lessons. And as how Lorraine said, crisis, out of crisis comes greater need for solidarity and upbuilding. And hopefully that will shift the development model, as we see how in Ontario and other parts of the world where there are sizable actors on the ground mobilizing the community. So with those words, thank you very much. And I pass the time back to the organizers, Martin, thanking the speakers and the participants. Have a good day.